what we're doing right now. Let's go back. Here, Bruce Lee talk. Yeah. So, old Bruce here, this guy's, you don't know, he is badass, right? He's a stud. He's a master of the mind and awesome. So here's kind of what he has to say about the now and controlling your mind. It's kind of like that.
This is what I look at. As an empty mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. When you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put in the teapot, it becomes the teapot. How it can flow, how it can crash. And water, my friend.
Stuff, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Right? So yeah, I was going to say, empty your mind, become what you're doing. Get lost. Get lost in the moment. Bruce Lee, karate guy. So really just let your mind go, become what's happening, become part of the moment, so you get wrapped up in the videos around. Okay? So how can we control the now? How can we control being in control of whatever we're doing at that present time? We're going to this down to three things, ABCs, real simple, right? How can we do this right now? ABCs. It all starts with awareness. Can't do anything unless you're aware of what you're doing. We talked about this too before. So awareness. What am I being aware of? Somatic and cognitive. So somatic is basically your body, your physiological changes. My body's freaking out, or my cognitive, my mind. What's going on in my head? Being aware of how my body's reacting, my heart rate, all that, or cognitive, what's going on in my head. What am I telling myself? That type of stuff. Being aware of that. Gotta start there. Gotta be aware of process versus outcome. So let's say I'm a hitter, and the situation is overwhelming me. So I'm starting to freak out, right? Having self-doubt, my heart's racing, I'm freaking out. What am I being aware of? What am I really focusing on the process of getting a good message, driving to the field, or am I really focused on the outcome of, oh my gosh, I'm running up third base, I have to get him in. Being aware of what's freaking you out. So that's part of it. How I can control that. Breathing, controlling your breathing. Another way to control right now. So you're aware of breathing. How about this one? Breathing is one of the only physiological functions of the body that you can actually control. So what's that mean?
Controlling your heart rate, control your breath.
Control your breath. I can't control my body digesting my food. I can't control my pancreas working, my liver filtering, all that stuff. But the thing we can control is our breathing. Again, it goes back to being in control. Right? Controlling your breathing. Rhythmic control brings you back to a centering point. Breathing has a lot of really good things for you.
Where have you guys heard being the center or centering before? Math class.
Exactly.
She talks a lot about that.
Breathing back to, so you've all been trained how to breathe correctly and when to do it. And then cues. Different guys have different focal points or cues, right? Different types. Visual cues, foul pole, label of your back, the sign on the wall. What do you say yours is? You have a really good one?
Biggest though on every single stadium on the wall. Any advertising, the biggest though I choose.
And what's that mean to you?
In college, we always had a saying, I'm over it. Like, I just don't care anymore. It was like, you know, our hitters used to say that when they're having a bad day, I'm over it. But then we kind of used it as fun, and it always brings me back to a good time, a good play. So I just find the biggest O, and I just think, you know, get back to where you need to be.
Pretty cool.
This is the middle of the game, right? You're swinging pitches.
Yeah. Anyone else have a cool one? Or
Typically with flagpole, there's a flagpole and center field there, so the field around.
exactly.
So it'll never change.
Give a flagpole, get you back where you need to be. Seriously, that's not everyone where it is. I think you use the foul pole because it's guaranteed to be there. Something's always going to be where he's at. You can also have physical cues. Actually physically doing something to get to separate yourself from that moment to get you back where you need to be. Adjusting your batting gloves, raking the dirt with your spike, messing with the rosin bag, something you physically actually do to get you back where you want to be in control right now. And then some verbal things. So they're your self-talks, your keywords that you can say to yourself to get you right back where you need to be. Three things, right? Be aware, control your breathing, and have some sort of focal point to get you right back where you need to be to control right now. preparation. Which, yeah. So how will you do this? You're gonna go well now.
My mental preparation for the game is very different than most. I try to relax myself. I'm a joker. Frank said that way. I try to listen to music. I joke around with guys. I take my whole mind away from the game itself. And then when the time comes to focus on the game, I focus on my athletic skills and putting it together with the team. Somehow collectively going out and doing our job each and every day. I challenge myself to be the best basketball player every moment that I'm playing the game of basketball. And sometimes that means tricking yourself in your mind and say that you can't do this, or your weaknesses are here, but yet you still try to work on improving those weaknesses. A lot of people may say, well, Michael Jordan never had weaknesses. Michael Jordan had weaknesses. He just had to dig deep inside himself to figure out what they were and challenge himself to improve those weaknesses. So mentally, I like to challenge myself to go out and play a perfect basketball game. Although I know you can't do that. It's practically impossible to play a perfect game, but that doesn't mean you can't challenge yourself to do that.
That's pretty what the mental discipline is, especially your preparation. Challenging yourself day to day to get what you need to get done. For you specifically, for those different types of things we'll talk about. So your routines, right? Challenge yourself to get through your routine, your pre-game routine, your end-game routine. Maybe it's your pre-pitch thing. In between pitches when you're hitting, in between your pitch before you make a pitch on the mound, on defense, all these things, right? Challenging yourself to stay locked in through all these things. Your post-game routine, getting your lifts when you need to, eating the right food, going to bed when you need to be going to bed, taking care of yourself. And then, of course, being consistent with it. Part of your preparation, being consistent with it. Your goals, right? That's all part of preparation. We talked about your process goals versus outcome goals. And then Rigo had a great presentation on SMART goals we talked about this organization. And then your visualization. Internal versus external. Who knows what that means? Internal versus external visualization. When you're imagery stuff. You know the difference?
Internally, point of view, externally, like watching yourself.
Yeah, internal be more watching. Yeah, you doing it, you actually doing it, and then the external is watching somebody else coming. So if I'm a hitter, externally I'm watching him go through his delivery, make a little bit of the pitch. Internally, I'd be watching myself or having the ball come at me and swing at the pitch I want to. And on the mound, it's the other way around. Okay? Snapshots, I think we talked about this too. Right before you're about to go, a snapshot of what you want to see happen. Bang, see it. Last thing you think is the next, leads to your next action. Right? I think we were talking about that.
How many of you have ever like, gone to the, just before you go on the plate, kind of visualize maybe you're one of the best swings you've taken in the game, who was on the mound, how that felt like, something like that from a hitter standpoint? Anybody done that before? Yeah? Pitcher, same thing on the mound. You run the mound, you had to make a pitch, runners on base that you executed, like what that felt like, what your mindset was. That's where you want to try to get to as often as you can.
Definitely. And again, remember this is part of it is how well can you manage this? Are you gonna let yourself go to your bat or do your next pitch or your next inning without having your thing you go to? Or you can go walk through it this way at bats. Next thing you know, the injury out of control because you've done nothing about it. Mental discipline. There it is. Your mental discipline is measured by being able to maintain these three things. Your RPM over the course of an entire season. Off-season, preseason, regular season. So this is not just our 142 games. This goes into the off-season, all your off-season workouts, all your preparation there, your preseason workouts, going into spring training, and then you're here and maintaining that is the ultimate challenge of someone who's mental discipline. Are you got anything on that?
No.
Yeah.
Good.
Something simple, an RPM, right? Maintain those three things. That's my favorite one. It's your responsibility because you have the ability to respond. Your responsibility, your ability to respond. Anybody else have anything on that? That's all I got. These are my 6 slides today. Something quick, easy. Something just to think about those. So if you think of yourself, challenge yourself. How do I control my real time? How do I control my preparation? And how do I maintain that over the course of a season that we're in now?
That's very good stuff right there. That's your responsibility. That's something that this organization does very well. is puts the responsibility on you guys. You know, we as coaches are responsible to give you guys information and try to guide you through the process, but you're the one that's accountable, responsible for putting the work in and understanding what needs to be done to get you over the hump. And as far as routines, I love having routines. I know that was part of one of the sections, and it's important to have a routine because we can work off that routine. If it's not working, then we can make adjustments to that routine. And we can always add to that routine. And some of the things that we talked about as far as when things aren't going well and slowing the game down, as pitchers, one thing that I was taught, and I think it was, who's that? What, where are you at?
Yeah.
Who's that, what's the name of that psychologist? Rizzi, we have in Cincinnati. He was one of our guys there. And one thing that he talked about pitchers was when things are going bad, step out of the dirt area, grab a rosin, and throw it on the ground and pretend you're flushing down the toilet and throw all those negative thoughts down the toilet. And then you get back on the mound and you kind of regroup and kind of go that direction. And I think that's a really good way of stepping away and regrouping and going forward. And that's something that with Mitch that we talked about is self-talk. Is another thing. What have we been working on?
You know, just when I hit a jam or I feel the game speeding up on me, you know, I just gotta like talk to myself, like, you know, kind of pump myself up every time I feel like that. You know, even if you're not feeling it, you gotta like pretend you are. You know, so it's helped me over the last few outings, kind of, you know, turn the corner and you know, get out of some of those tough things.
Which is a perfect example of what Michael Jordan said. You know, you got to move the body. Obviously, you didn't feel that great coming off that road trip, but you talked yourself into competing, and like 1 walk in 5 innings was great right there. So it's an example of how the mind controls the body.
Paul Hendricks. Some guys ask me, why is Paul breaking? Paul, what do you think? What have you done? Outside of any pitches.
I mean, if, you know, since we talked today, if someone swing a bad pitch or a bad call or something, just methodically, let's go through everything over my head, so I don't freak out or anything like that. Just stay right there.
Controlling your thoughts.
That's over with, right? That pitch, whether you're a pitcher, position player, infielder, outfielder, whatever you just did, good or bad, is over with. It's in the past. You can't control it anymore. Right? One thing that mental preparation needs to be is those days where you don't feel like doing something. We all have them. If you say that you don't have, you're a liar. There's days where you don't feel like going to lift weights, going to do early hitting, going to throw an extra bullpen, long toss, whatever that might be. It's mental discipline is like, I got to trick my mind. I don't feel great today. I'm going to do it. I'm going to work at it and get through it anyway. And it's the ability to kind of flip that switch on, you know, not backing off when your body's telling you no, your mind can tell you yes. Rigo just mentioned it's very powerful. Your mind can control a lot of things that maybe you don't think you can do that you can do.
The other one too, the routine, and Rigo's point is, the routines are huge. It's something consistent you go to and you can build off of. You change it, it's something to go to. You're not going well, it's always to go back to. The flip side of that is, what happens when you don't have, you can't do your routine? Hitters, when can we not do a routine? Road trips, right? Bootleg cages, half a cage, not the equipment we usually use isn't there. Having something to go to that's not a comfort, you gotta get out of your comfort zone now. Oh my gosh, I'm opportunity to what do I do now? Mental discipline to go through this type of stuff. Right? Visually prepare yourself now. Having the other part of a preparation, not just the physical aspects. Some sort of visual thing you can walk through. Different drills that don't utilize tees or something else. Right? Rainy days, Shaun goes. All those types of things.
Yeah, and to add to that, Marco and I had a conversation about this, and when we were talking about that today, you have to evolve, right?
Yeah.
So your routine has to constantly be changing as you get older. You know, maybe you're not young, you can't take as many reps, you gotta be smarter. You know, there's definitely an evolution that you go through the process of becoming a major leaguer.
And having a mental discipline, not to be okay with not having your routine that day. Right? So a lot of times if it's not there, we freak out and our whole day shot. How do you get a routine in that? What are you gonna go to? So you can compete that night, right? Something to think about. Something to think about. And it's gonna be different for everybody. All this stuff is gonna be different for everybody, right? Hopefully you can grab something that we all have our own experiences and ask questions. You don't let yourself kind of control.
Part of the process is finding out what works for you and sticking with it. And like these guys both said, as you get older, I'm sure you have to react differently. You may not have that 95-mile-an-hour fastball anymore. After 90 now, how am I going to get guys out? Right? So it's evolving.
You know, one thing that helped me out to help deal with adversity a little bit, because I had a bit of a temper when I used to play, was the fact that, yeah, sometimes I get it. But my point was, I realized as a starter that I was going to have a bad inning. I realized that the umpire was going to miss calls. I realized that they were going to make errors. And for me, understanding that that was going to happen in the game, when it did happen, I'm like, oh fuck, there it is. Okay, let's move forward. You know, it's not like it caught me off guard. I realized that I was going to have success. I knew I had success because of the confidence I had in my ability. But being prepared for some of the negative things that might come up helped me slow the game down and understand that that's part of the game. It's okay. It happened. It's over. We move forward. And I think that maybe that comes with experience. And I know about that. You probably learned to deal with that as well.
Yeah, I was like a lot of you guys are now here. You know, relate to it. I was very hard on myself, but I kept a lot in. I didn't. You wouldn't see me slam a lot of shit, but I get pissed off and take it out on my girlfriend because my wife, you know, not physically. And I realized that like a couple years in, she said to me, I don't want to be around you after you have an 5 over 30 game, you know, games in a row. And that kind of hit me like, shit, I'm an ass off the field. Because I was there like baseball wasn't the only thing that matters. And baseball's what you do. You leave the field, you know, and be who you are. And, you know, something Austin and I talked a little bit about, you know, having kids, things like that changes you for some of that in my opinion, really good. But that doesn't mean you have to get to that point to let it work for you. Just remember, this is your job, you want to take it seriously, work over here, but that's not it's not the person you are. So don't let it affected my game for probably the first 2 or 3 years of my career that held me back.
Anybody else have in-game stuff, pre-preparation stuff that's worked for you, not worked for you? Play yourself stay out of control.
Clean the box. Like after every pitch, I pretty much clean the box. It's like the pitch is over when it's starting to fresh a new pitch. I've done that forever. So, like when I dig in, clean the box, pitch, strike one, right, clean it, just wipe it away. It's like just flushing it.
Perfect. And for me, I kind of learned along the way that you can't just go out there and you got to practice visualization, like you got to practice hitting out the seat from a fastball outside. I mean, you know, one of the things that I like to use is the snapshots, kind of where the ball is and where the bat was, and it kind of helps me see what the hitter's trying to do and things like that. So I practice that almost in bullpen sometimes, imagining the right hand hitter right there, you know, swinging late on a fastball inside, and it kind of helps me in the game too.
That's a great point. It's work. You gotta work it. It's a skill, just like hitting a ball is, throwing a pitch, it's a skill. You gotta work. Constantly work it. Next thing you know, it's second nature. And just like a routine, it's something you can go back to when you feel yourself going crazy a little bit. But you gotta work it.
As far as the pitcher, just to add to that, you know, when you come out of the game, the pitch is starting to experience this. And so when you finish the game, you should be physically and mentally exhausted. Because that means you were at 100% focal point on what you were supposed to do. Pitch after pitch after pitch, understand game situation, and just making sure that you're always getting positive throughout the process.
This game, like we talked about, is tough. Game's long, it can be slow, and the season's even longer. And being able to do it day in and day out is the ultimate challenge. That's what separates guys from here to the big leagues. And being able to do it. That's the difference between you guys right now and guys in the big leagues. Those guys do it every single day.
Yep. Physical ability between here and the big leagues is much smaller than mental ability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mental is definitely different for me. That's no doubt. Anybody else have anything? Questions, comments? Let's do the plus minus. You know, here, you hit those lights back.